Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Exa Talks. Today, we are going to talk about the space between binary media. Women have a lot more representation in media than they think. In 2005, Avatar: The Last Airbender premiered on Nickelodeon, introducing 12-year-old Aang as the Avatar destined to save the world. In 2012, a sequel series, The Legend of Korra, aired, introducing a new female avatar that, in the end, gets a female love interest. This move was so controversial that Korra's last season aired exclusively on Nick's website and not network television. It's been 13 years since The Legend of Korra and 20 years since the original series. Mumblings of the next Avatar and subsequent series started making waves through online spaces. I personally was hoping for a male avatar that would maybe get a same-sex companion like Korra, but was disappointed to learn that the next avatar would be a woman again. Avatar: The Seven Havens was announced to air in two 13-episode seasons featuring female twins, one of whom is the Avatar. I think we all have a need to see ourselves in the media we consume. If we don't, it doesn't feel as relatable, at least for me personally. My good friend Andrea knows I won't bat an eye at a show recommendation unless there's a gay character in it. I'm not claiming to speak for all gay people, but that's where I'm at personally. I've seen every straight love story, but I haven't seen every gay love story or even many across media at all. So, if the show features another damsel in distress, I'm not interested. If the show features a manly man fighting for the girl, I'm not interested because I can't relate. Love Island is a reality TV show that's exploded in popularity this past season of it airing, but if I wanted to watch drama between straight couples, I could just go to Walmart. I have a visceral need to see myself in media and sometimes insert myself in the media I consume. And since media typically tends to fit the pink toys for girls and blue toys for boys mentality, I'm often falling through the cracks. Media has a financial incentive to appeal to as broad an audience as possible to garner the most viewership and, as a result, the most revenue. Obscurely niche TV shows tend to get canceled early and become cult classics as time goes on. There's so much slop on Netflix that has so many seasons, but one of my favorite shows of all time, Sense8, regarded widely as being nichely LGBTQ+, barely got a conclusion to its story without the help of its passionate fan base. Series creator Lana Wachowski came to have enough material for 5 seasons minimum, and to this day, Sense8 remains one of the only canceled shows on Netflix to have received a series ending. Characters you want to be versus characters who are for you. All of the most popular media has some of the most boring, plain, and one-dimensional male leads, but that makes them relatable as most men watching are themselves unremarkable. These self-inserts give them someone to aspire to be, and they don't need to think too hard about it because the characters are so shallow. Jon Snow from Game of Thrones comes to mind. Anything Chris Pratt is in comes to mind. Any action movie lead whose main goal is money, drugs, family, or the girl come to mind. For male characters, there always tends to be a woman love interest involved that is the only thing complex about the male character since they lack any complexity themselves. They have to figure out the girl. They have to save the girl. The girl is playing them. This is what's at stake. Movies and TV shows rarely rely on complexity in male characters and instead have all their adversity come from female love interests or villain characters. The male characters rarely show bad qualities, and women and villains are there to supplement that. But the thing about female characters is that they tend to be way more complex and have way more flaws than their male counterparts that they need to overcome. Vices in male characters are celebrated and tend to become character-defining, like Deadpool. When women display these same negative traits, they usually have to be saved by men or be put down like Old Yeller. When it comes to video games, it's no secret that female characters across many fantastical species are sexualized for little reason. That's because they are created for the male player base and for the male player base to oonga boonga to while they play. Male characters rarely show skin and are rarely sexualized because accusations that they or the game are gay may arise as a result. When I play video games, I want to escape in the fantasy, not participate in simulated reality. Games where you can design your own character are my favorite because I use the main character as a self-insert. The character looks like me, or at least how I want them to look, and they make decisions I would make myself, including romancing other male characters. But same-sex relationships are notoriously limited and often hidden behind the base world state of the game. In many games with LGBTQ+ content, that content can be hidden altogether by people who don't wish to participate in it. So very well-known LGBTQ+ characters in games may be anything but to a heteronormative player who only sees them as straight. Still, in games where you can design your own character and make your own choices, there tends to be a default world state. Dragon Age is a game series from BioWare that revolutionized diversity in games to such an important degree. In the third installment, Dragon Age Inquisition, I played as a male character who romanced another male character. That same character you created in Inquisition appears in the latest and fourth installment, Dragon Age Veilguard. But if you choose the default world state, the main character from Inquisition is a woman who romanced a man. While women have vast representation in media, it is exhausting that any variation from the norm invites criticism. Butch women, unconventionally attractive women, and women-led narratives always receive backlash on a global scale. If a woman leads a superhero movie, the company has gone woke. Narratives that deal with issues exclusive to women are branded as unappealing and out of touch, like Turning Red from Disney Pixar, which got doubly punched down for being a 13-year-old girl narrative and an Asian narrative. The masses of straight heterosexual male audiences respond with ire at the very least and threats of violence at most when they can't see themselves reflected in media. What do you mean this movie isn't for me? That means it's clearly garbage. All the while, not seeing myself represented in media is something I experience as a gay man more often than not. Relatability. I think I'm more sensitive and polarizing than most when it comes to relating to media. I have a high threshold that must be met for a piece of entertainment to hold my attention, and if it fails to meet that threshold, I find myself uninterested. After all, nobody I know is a big crime drug lord, yet Breaking Bad and The Sopranos are two of the most popular shows ever, so clearly there is a level of fantasy that people seek in this type of entertainment with characters daring to do things the viewers never would. But still, the characters are written with qualities that viewers all over can attach themselves to. My father isn't in the mafia, but damn, isn't being in the mafia so cool and admirable in film? If the character isn't relatable, there are still qualities about them that are admirable or desirable. This is rarely the case for gay characters in media. Gay characters are still only just breaking out of their stereotypical inclusion in narratives, which took women centuries to do. Moreover, it's rare to see gay representation at all in adult media, and more likely in content made for teenagers like Heartstopper. Teenage LGBTQ+ representation is arguably the most important representation in media, but it still can alienate adult LGBTQ+ viewers. I get that coming-of-age narratives will never die, but nearly every gay character in teenage media has to both come out and find themselves. What about seasoned adults who have already done that? Where are the gay characters that are beyond their coming out and just living their lives or fighting dragons? The Sandman on Netflix has pretty much every supporting character on the LGBTQ+ spectrum, but not the main character, of course. This type of representation suggests that LGBTQ+ isn't fitting for the lead, who still has to retain audience attention by being a heterosexual male. Most straight people can identify with being the center of their world, with a sometimes expansive supporting cast of all different types of characters in their lives. So, there are little to no characters I relate to fully in media, and I think that's partially because I'm stubborn. Characters have traits I relate to or admire, but I've never seen a character properly represent me, my gender, and my sexual orientation. The character across all media who I feel represents me most as a person is Jack Skellington from The Nightmare Before Christmas, and he too is a heterosexual male. But again, I identify the most with characters when I can create them myself as self-inserts in video games where I can look the way I choose, romance who I choose, and make decisions that I would make in real life if given the opportunity. So, representation of women in media is certainly flawed. It seems though that society has to overanalyze every single new female character that appears in media, rather than rest on a consensus of where we are in society as a whole regarding female representation. In my eyes, female representation in media is generally great. We have female character leads across all body types, skin colors, looks, ability, and complexity. Even when strong female characters are villains like Cersei or Daenerys from Game of Thrones, they still are great characters in my opinion because for me, they outshine their male counterparts at every turn. If one single new portrayal of a female character is unflattering, stereotypical, sexist, sets us back 50 years, etc., I don't think that it is a reflection of where female representation in media is as a whole. How many Disney princesses can you name? Disney has a catalog of over a dozen official and non-official female leads in movies of various backgrounds. Sure, there's only one black princess and sure, only one Chinese, etc., but when was the last time Disney released a film for young boys? I don't mean to split hairs here. I am a champion of female representation and am grateful for all of it, but the same just isn't there for boys. Boys have half a dozen Disney princes that they can identify with, and only half of those have names. How many gay Disney leads can you name? None. We're talking about one of the biggest media tycoons in the world, and there is not one gay or lesbian lead that ends up with the same sex. What Disney songs can men sing at karaoke? Go the Distance from Hercules 1997? You're Welcome from Moana 2016? No, surely you were thinking One Jump Ahead from Aladdin or In Summer from Frozen. So, I'm happy to have identified with Ariel throughout my childhood, and I'm happy to have Elsa be the most representation I've ever felt through Disney films, but still, there are zero characters in Disney who represent me or the struggles that I've been through, except for maybe Hades. And I'm not coming here entitled and saying things need to be for me, I'm just pointing out that they simply aren't for me, and they likely won't ever be for me. Before I end, I just want to give a shout out to Wiccan from Agatha All Along, played by Joe Locke, who I think is the closest to complete representation I've ever felt in media. A dark, brooding, magical gay boy. Say no more. So people are relieved that the next Avatar is a woman and not a man. And I'm sitting here thinking, the last male Avatar we had launched in 2005, and he was 12 years old. Thank you so much for listening to Exa Talks. See you next time.